Welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast, where we discover the fight for freedom, fulfillment, passion, and purpose. Your host is Curt Mercadante, Gallup certified strengths coach, an agency founder who is dedicated to coaching individuals seeking to level up their life and their businesses. The Freedom Club is about unlocking your talents, turning them into strengths, and crushing your objectives. You can learn more at curtmercadante.com. Welcome to the Freedom Club.
And welcome to the Freedom Club Podcast. I am your host, Curt Mercadante. Happy Thursday. I recorded this earlier, of course. So by the time you listen to this, I will be on a plane somewhere over, I don't even know where, on the way to Cairo, Egypt, where I'm very excited. I'm going to be facilitating a workshop at a startup accelerator in Cairo, which is actually a budding startup hub. So very excited. You know, I thought of a quote the other day: to save the world, you have to see the world. And if you listen to this podcast regularly, you know that my vision is to save the world by helping individuals fight for freedom and fulfillment. And I do that through my one-on-one coaching, my group coaching, this podcast you're listening today, and yes, workshops like the one I am doing in Cairo, Egypt. So if your organization is ever looking for someone to carry that message to your people, to help your team align more, to help them work from a position of strength so that they can tap, each individual member of your team can tap their superpowers to help the team be more efficient, more profitable, and crush it every day. Let me know. Send me a message. Come to my website, send me a message. Be happy to talk to you about coming and facilitating a workshop. So today I want to talk to you about something I talked about on LinkedIn earlier this week. And it's not something I really ever hid from anyone, I guess. Although for a while, you know, my wife, of course, knows about it. Some of my family members know about it. But I never talked about it because, you know, I'm a man and men are supposed to be tough and they're just supposed to grit their teeth and move forward. Well, so over time, it was probably about started 10 years ago, I would get these sensations where my left arm would go numb, my fingers would tingle, massive stomach pain, like fetal position, massive stomach pain. And at first I thought maybe I was having a heart attack. Do I have ulcers? Went to the doctor, none of that. It turned out it was an anxiety attack. And was I embarrassed about it? Yeah, absolutely. As I said before, hey, I was bringing in great money, and so I felt guilty. Why would I have anxiety? It's all about money, right? We men are taught that we're paycheck generators, and you do everything at all costs to bring in that money. And yes, money's important. Money's important not as an end unto itself. Money's a tool to buy experiences, to buy things that will give you fulfillment. But I wasn't in that full realization at that time. And so I was embarrassed that I had anxiety attacks. My wife knew. She saw it. I mean, it got so bad at one point that I couldn't even stand the voices of the kids, which now I feel extremely guilty about and horrible about. But I thought, well, it's my diet. So I changed some things in my diet that, by the way, have had lasting impacts on a variety of things. And it sort of helped the anxiety attacks for a little bit. You know, it was paleo, so it was anti-inflammation, et cetera. But didn't really stop them. Stopped them for a little bit, maybe lesser. Maybe shielded the impacts of them some, but they continued and continued and continued. And I really got to the root of why it was happening. And, you know, every morning I was waking up with dread. I had built a prison instead of a business. I hadn't set boundaries with some of my clients. I had clients that didn't fulfill me, some clients who didn't respect me. And every day I woke up feeling like I wasn't in control of my life, like I wasn't in the driver's seat, like an invisible puppeteer was pulling my strings. And when you wake up like that day after day after day, and you combine that with a feeling of guilt because, hey, I'm bringing in great money. Why would I ever feel like this? And then you think of that money aspect and you think, wow, you've built up a lifestyle that now you have to keep, right? you think you have to keep, and you think you have to maintain that level of income forever, you can never go below it, then the walls of that prison get thicker. And you feel more and more trapped, more and more imprisoned. And it keeps building and building. And yes, it manifested itself for me in anxiety attacks. For some of you, maybe you have the same. For some of you, maybe it's just a feeling of desperation. And as I've documented on this podcast before, it got to the point where I said, fuck this, no more. And I shut down my very profitable agency. Was it scary? Yes. Are there scary days? Yes. But you know what? I haven't had an anxiety attack since, because I am in the driver's seat. And yes, I have days that suck. I have days where all my sales calls go bad. I have days where I think the sales calls go great. Over the last week, I've had 3 such sales calls where the people have told me yes. And then they've disappeared. They ghosted me online. And if you're listening, grow a spine. Just text me 2 letters, N-O, no. But maybe that's a topic of a different podcast. I came home today and we had someone testing for mold. We have mold in our house. We may have to spend thousands of dollars for ductwork. Last January, it was bitter cold here, record cold. Our water heater goes out. Then our air conditioning goes out. Some days, everyone in our family, I got 4 kids, wife, we all get sick. So yeah, there's days that suck. But when you have a clear vision for how you want your life to be defined, when you have true alignment, because remember, work-life balance, that term, I don't ever want to hear you use it again. It's total bullshit. There's not work over here and life over here. There's just life. And the key to fulfillment is aligning the 3 facets of your life: work, family, and self. And when you have a clear vision, when you have that true alignment, when you have fulfillment, then those shitty days, those days when life knocks you on your ass, knocks you off the path that you're taking on the way to your vision, when you have fulfillment and a clear view of that vision you want in your life, it's easier to get up, dust yourself off, and get back on that path and start hiking toward your vision. Because I'll tell you, in the past, when life knocked me on my ass, knocked me off that path, it spiraled into weeks of despair. So if you have anxiety attacks, there's nothing to be ashamed of. But don't settle for that. Get to the root cause of it. I'm going to speak to men because I'm a man. We're raised, in many cases, to value ourselves as paycheck generators. It starts in kindergarten. There's schools now. There was a kindergarten, I've talked about it here on this podcast, who canceled their theater program because it wasn't college and career ready enough. Our society gives lip service to finding your purpose and following your passion. And then starting at age 5 in school, it's all about conform. Raise your hand to take a piss in school. It's a permission-based society, and that sticks with us. I have clients who are in their 40s who are afraid to send me activities when I ask them to define the lifestyle that they want. They're almost afraid, like they have to ask permission to even think about that. And I don't blame them, and I've been there, and I don't say this to belittle them. I don't say this to belittle you if you feel that way. But I do say it to belittle society, to criticize our society that makes us feel that way, that gives lip service. Follow your passion, follow your purpose. And then everything we do, when you step out of line to do that, society makes you want to get back in line, makes you feel guilty about that. So if you feel guilty about wanting more, give me a call. Send me a message, because you should not feel guilty. Yes, we should have gratitude for what we have. Hell, we should have gratitude for living, for being human beings. But you can have gratitude and at the same time be grateful. At the same time, strive for more in your life. Do not feel guilty. Do not ever feel guilty for wanting greatness in your life, for wanting more. So yes, I felt damn guilty for having anxiety attacks. I wasn't a man. I didn't tell my so-called friends at the time about it. They wouldn't have understood. Or even if they did understood, they would never admit that. Dude, just toughen up. So, I guess my point today is, I do a lot of podcasts, videos, etc., from the beach. from Europe, traveling around with my family. But my life's not perfect. I still have shitty days. But my life's a lot better than it used to be, when I would wake up with that feeling of dread every single day, going to bed every single night with that same feeling of dread, like I wasn't in control of my life, like some invisible force was pulling my strings, afraid to take a lunch, even though I work from home, as if there were hidden cameras and my clients could see me, feeling guilty all the time. That adds up. Yes, for me, it added up to anxiety attacks, and I felt guilty about it. And I shouldn't have, and neither should you. Listen, if you feel that way day after day after day, stop focusing on the reasons why you cannot escape to a life of freedom and fulfillment, and get ready to fight. Yes, fight for a life of freedom and fulfillment. You've heard me say it before. You don't just wake up and roll off the bed into a life of freedom and fulfillment. You have to fight for it. There's nothing that I can do to make you fight for it. So if you are ready to fight, if you're ready to escape that prison that maybe you've built for yourself over the last 2-3 decades, then send me a message today. Go to my website, curtmercadante.com. Figure out a way to send me a message. Message me on LinkedIn. It's time for you to start fighting. It's time for you to be the hero in your own life. And if you're ready to fight, I'm ready to fight alongside you. This is the Freedom Club Podcast. My name is Curt Mercadante. Thank you so much for listening.